Hello, this is Bonnie, and today we're going to be working on another project, and I'm going to be using some of the stamps from the latest Fairy Hugs Christmas release. And these right here, if you can see that, is winter leaves and berries, and I'm going to be using the sentiment Wishing You. And I've already started prepping. Oh, I'm also going to be using this Fairy Hugs stencil called Fairy Vines. So I've already started prepping, which is what I was getting ready to say. And so what I did is I had stamped the sentiment onto the center of this paper. And then what I did is I used some gold embossing powder and also finished it, embossed that, and heated that. And then what I did is I die cut this with a circle, and I have a reason for that. I also cut another circle that is going to be matting that and going on top. And then I'm going to be doing the stencil in the background. But first, I'm going to finish this off by showing you how I am going to be stamping on the edge of the sentiment with a berry. I'm just going to use a scrap piece of paper. And I'm just going to be using a regular acrylic block because I want to just be able to randomly go around the side. It takes a little bit longer when you want to just stamp randomly around the side. It doesn't have to be a perfect stamp. Whoops, sorry about that. And I just want to get the edge of that, and then I want to heat emboss that as well. But this just gives me, I can go a little bit quicker than using the platform. So, and I'm using VersaFine Clear Nocturne, and I'm not gonna do a second generation stamping on this. And I'm just gonna go around, like I said. The edge I don't want to take too long because I want to heat emboss this too. Anyway, these berries are really cool, and they will make a great edge. And it'll kind of like give a little bit more, I guess if you want to call it design, to the card. This will make a great, I could really use this side here. This will make a great Christmas card, obviously. And actually a quick one, kind of easy. Said I don't want to take too long. I think I can use this side again. So because there's like kind of like two sides to this berry, I can stamp it one way and then stamp it the other. Although right there I messed that up. I think I'm gonna see if I can get a little bit of that. Yep. Okay. I'm so used to using the platform that I'm not so used to stamping straight. I kind of tilt it. There we go. That's a little bit better. And I can do this one. Yep. A little bit further. I wouldn't really, I mean for this, because I already did the gold, I probably really wouldn't want, I think I have room, yep. I really wouldn't want the black. So, and this works just right, fits in there. Okay, so all I'm going to do now is I'm going to be putting the gold embossing powder on, and I'm going to heat set it. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you really quickly, although you know how to probably do this. And I am actually using, I don't know if they make this anymore, this is a Nuvo fine detail, and it is classic gold. And that's what I used for the sentiment as well. Not a hard card to comprehend, really. Just more for an idea. So after I get this done, I'll be right back and I'll show you what we're going to do for the background with the stencil. Okay, so for the background, I'm going to be using the texture paste. This one's from Ranger. And I'm also going to be using probably the embossing powder again I'm just going to see how it ends up looking. I'm not really sure. But I am going to tape this down just so that it doesn't do a whole lot of moving. Might have to come back and get that little corner. All right, so this is, I want to show you the consistency, which is where I really like the texture paste. It's rather thick, and so it doesn't tend to go underneath. There's a lot of open space for this particular stencil, so predominantly it's going to look like it's white. Except for, in this case, I am using digital paper. And digital paper responds to water-based products. And this is a water-based product. So, and because I didn't make it, you know, I don't know how to explain it to you, but it responds. And so there's a good chance that all it's going to look like is, it's going to look embossed if it picks up the color behind, because it's a digital paper. So we're going to see how that goes. Because if it picks up the color behind, I'm really happy with that. And I think that's what I'm going to do. So, like I said, it'll just end up looking like more of a... When I take this off, it's going to look white, but as it dries, it's going to pick up the color behind it. And I just want to get that to the edge of that circle. It's going around it a little bit, and that's okay. Now, if you make it really thick, it probably won't pick up the color as much behind. We'll see. So it's just like, in a way, frosting a cake. When you put this on, you just try to be careful that when you have bigger open spaces, there's a bigger chance of your texture paste going underneath your design. Again, I'm not really going for perfection here. I like things that are a little bit more organic, so I don't care. But I do want it to be on. So you can see about how long this takes. My filming is telling me it's about 3 minutes to put this on. And then you have to wait for it to dry. There's a lot of techniques you can do with texture paste and stencils. This is a very simple one, but the difference is using digital paper for your background, because it usually picks up the color from digital paper. Now, there's an exception. It's got to be an inkjet digital paper, not a laser. I think that's right. Yeah. I always get the two confused because I believe it's the laser one with the one with a toner. It does not react with water, but the one with just, you know, the ink, regular ink, does react. It's water-based. So we're going to go ahead and take a look. And like I said, right now it's not going to show me a whole lot of the color, but it should bleed through, which I'm okay with. But you can kind of see it anyway. Yeah. So that's kind of like the difference. And I'm going to go ahead and try to get the, even though these aren't going to show because I'm putting that other piece on top. But anyway, that's the look. I think that's really, really pretty. Now again, there's a lot more things I can even do to this. I can go ahead and get glitter, and I put glitter on it while it's still wet. And if I heat set it, it'll stay in it. I could actually just heat set this anyway, and it will raise up a little bit. So it just depends on what you want to do. I just kind of like the looks of it the way it is, probably without adding any glitter or anything. I might add gold wax to the outside so that it will coordinate with this that's going in the center. We'll go ahead and see. So I'm going to let that dry, and I'll be back. Okay, so I just wanted to show you as it's drying. It's almost dry, but I mean, I think you can see what I'm saying about how it actually picks up the color from below because it's digital and it responds to the digital paper because of the water base. So the other thing I've done, I've already put this on the back, so that's how it's going to line up. I also know that I'm going to be putting a ribbon on it, and so even though this is pretty much dry, I can get that part started. I always cut a piece first that I'm going to string across. It's going to go like that. So right below that, I think, let me see. Pretty much sure, yeah. So I'm going to put it there, and how I do this is I take this part and I flip it over and I tape that down. And then I come to the other side. And again, I'm being really careful with this as it's drying, trying to line that up. Yep. And I'm going to put tape on that side as well. Now this doesn't matter because I will be using tape to go around the back of that, and that will even secure that more onto my card. So what I wanted to show you is the bow and how I make a bow. I actually do it by hand. I learned this some time ago from making hair bows. And I know there's little gadgets out there that will make bows for you as well. But this is just how I've done it. And you can make it all different sizes. And it's not, I want to say, a perfect bow. It could be if I wanted to make sure. But I don't know, I just like things that are a little bit more, not really off, but a little bit more organic, I guess if that's what you want to call it. And that's all I do with that. And then what I get is some thread. And you just hold that little piece of thread right there, and you just start wrapping around. This is seam binding that I'm using, and it really grips well once I start pulling it tight. If you can see what I'm doing, I'm just pulling that really tight. And I go probably one more time, and I'm just going to break it off. Whoops, just like that. And then I'm going to straighten up my bow. And I don't pull too hard on this because it's just wrapped around, and it could come unstitched. Or unraveled, I should say. I just got that twisted. Okay. All right. So now in order to make that secure, I cut another piece, and that probably wasn't big enough. All right. So basically, you don't really need to cut it first anyway. So I cut another piece. I'm going to be cutting another piece after I make this knot. Okay, and that's going to be my knot for the center, and I just can choose which side I want. And I'm going to cut this piece off, but not too short, although it will be trimmed eventually. And then what I use is, this is glue dots. All of a sudden I couldn't remember the name. It's glue dots. And what I do is I decide which side I want. I want this side up. And I put because these glue dots are big, I just use half of a glue dot. But you can use whatever size you want. And I set that right in the center where that thread was, if you can see that. And then I get my glue dots out again. And because like I said, these are quite large. I don't know if you can't really see these, but they're quite large. And I don't have the original box, so I can't even tell you the size of them, but they're large. And so I cut them in half because I don't need them that big. You can use whatever size you want. And then I come to the back of the bow, and what I do first is I actually pull the top one down and adhere that to the dot I just put on there. And the reason I do the top, it doesn't really matter. I just don't like the ends of these showing. And so Just depends on which way you want to go. With this one, I probably should have gone the other way, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to be cutting it off. And then I'm going to use the other end of what I just cut in half and pull that bottom part up. These glue dots stay sticky for a long time because I've had these for a while. So now I'm just pulling up that bottom piece, and you can see how it hangs over the side. So what I do is I trim that back. And press that down. All right, so that's all ready for the card, but not really knowing how long I really want the ends to be, which I think it looks pretty good. I'm gonna cut them off about right here. And again, it didn't take that long to make the bow. It's just going back and forth. All right, so the bow will go on here with a double-sided or another glue dot. But before I do that, I will be adhering this. But I cannot do that till I get it on my card base. So I think this is dry enough, and I don't think it will warp my card base. So I made a 6x6. It is slightly damp, but I don't think it's going to do anything. I made a 6x6 card base, and I'm just going to use my double-sided tape. And see, I'm going over that ribbon so that even secures it, you know, when I taped. That secures it down even more. And then I get this to line up. Although I think I was considering putting gold around the edges, but you know, I think I kind of like it fine without it. I was going to use some gold. I think I'm going to go without. And the main reason is because I have that there, but that doesn't really matter either. So hold on a second. Let's just see, because I want you to see an option that you can do. This right here happens to be Sizzix luster wax, and this one, I'm trying to see what, rose gold. This one's rose gold. And I think it goes really well with the Nuvo classic gold. So anyway, so all you do is, this one actually smells really nice. I've had waxes that don't smell as nice. You just put a little bit, very small amount, on your finger, and you're just gonna rub the end. Let me get that a little bit closer. And I'm just gonna rub the end, so that's like my edge. So it's not very much. And it doesn't have to be like a perfect edge, because again, I kind of go for the organic. The only time I really need to be perfect is when I make a quilt. Those edges need to be, or they won't match up. The seams need to work. Now this is very similar to doing ink edging too, except for this will have a little bit of a shine to it because it's the wax. But it even takes the white edges away from the, so you don't have any of the extending white texture paste. Now I'm coming close to this. I don't really want to get any on the ribbon, which is why I should have done this first, FYI. And I didn't. But you always can make things work. I mean, quite frankly, you can really take this wax and go over some of these and raise some of these raised areas. If you really wanted to add, you know, wax to your card, it would be really cool. Whoops. See, like I said, it doesn't matter if you go over a little bit. It just gives to the character of your card. Now, if you're wanting all your cards to be the same, that's a little bit different story. This makes them more unique, more one of a kind. Okay, I'm going to go on the other side of that ribbon. And I'm just about done. Okay, so now we've got those edges all done. They're ready to go on the card base. I need to clean off my finger before I put it on or I'll get gold everywhere. Okay, I'm back. I got that gold off my finger and we're gonna go ahead and put the card together. So, the gold could still get on my finger as I'm setting this down. Not too bad. Okay, so the first thing I want to put down is going to be this, and I am going to use double-sided foam tape, which I needed to grab really quickly, because I want it to be raised up on top of the, I mean, it can sit on top of the ribbon anyway, but I really want it to be a little bit more raised up. So, I don't tend to use tons of foam tape when I make my cards. It just depends on how I want it to come across. And these seem to be fine. All right, so should have had those all on there and I did not. And the other thing that's really nice when I use my glue, it makes this a lot more stiff, and I like that it gives a lot more stability, so I'm not as concerned about the foam tape anyway. Okay, let's get this all lined up as best we can. All right, I think that looks straight. Yep, okay. All right, so that's raised up just a little bit. Now I need my foam, or not my foam, but my glue dot, and I'm gonna go ahead and use a full one this time, although I could have used a half one if I had it. And I've got to check which is the front and which is the back. So that's the back with that little piece that's been cut. And I'm gonna grab that little piece to stick up there. And then figure out where I want that on here. And I don't want to cover up the "and" too much, so I'm going to tilt that to the side. Probably. There we go. And if I am really concerned about it covering up that "and," I can put another glue dot there and it'll be fine. So that's pretty much, I'm going to kind of rearrange that. I think that's still fine. Okay, talking to myself, although you're listening. So that would be the finished card. And again, I really like I said, you can see it's very subtle how it picks up the paper behind it. And like I said, if there's other ways you can add to it before it dries. You can add, like I said, the glitter, or even embossing powder that's like a hologram glitter. There's so many things you can do, but I just wanted to show you the simple way. And again, just using digital paper, which is kind of cool because you can pick whatever you want when you buy, digital paper. I'll have the link below with what paper I actually used, and I'll have the descriptions for everything else too from Fairy Hugs. Thanks so much for stopping by, and we'll see you again soon.